Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Benjamin Sun. I am the Chief Structure Engineer of Boston Public Works Department. It is utmost honor and privilege to be here tonight to give you a briefing on the status of our project, the most interesting North Washington Street Bridge, and to let you know where we are. And primarily, we wanted to talk about the difference between the 25 and the 75% submission, the changes we made after we heard from the public. So today, with me, I would like to introduce a few people from Mario Lenzi from the mayor's office. Maria, I'm so sorry. Patrick Leon from Representative Mishua's office. Luigi Natali from Senator Bonacori's office. And also with us are our partners from Mass DOT offices, the project manager, Michael O'Dowd, and Jim. And anybody else?
Nope.
And I'm sorry,
District 6.
Anthony from District 6 Construction. So, again, it's absolutely a privilege to be here today. And first of all, I don't know if I recognize some familiar faces. I don't know if anybody who has never attended our design public hearing December of last year. Okay, so we have a few who has never seen the previous presentation before. But if you're interested in more detailed, you're welcome to stay after the Q&A session, and we can give you a little detailed information, because we don't want it to take up too much time with other people here. So let me start showing you some slides.
It takes a trained person to operate these things. Left and right.
Left and right. All right, North Washington Street Bridge. The project limit is from, let me see, okay,
And Septuagint.
from Kinney Square intersection to City Square intersection at Charlestown. And this project entails the replacement construction of this a total 1,500-foot bridge. But I'm sorry. Okay. So the span we're replacing is about 1,100 feet under this project, and this bridge has been in service since 1898. So it's has loyally serving the citizens and Boston, city of Boston, for the last 118 years. Obviously, with that age, this structure is somewhat very exhausted. And it's evidenced when you are traveling on a bridge. You can see concrete patches, steel plate, traffic drums and cones. And unseen by the public eyes are steel structures, members below the bridge deck that's supporting this structure and they are also in a very deteriorated condition. So we monitor the structure almost daily. As a matter of fact, we have a crew out there doing repair as we speak tonight. And a bigger steel repair contract was advertised on Monday. And we're going to keep the structure working until the bridge is replaced. So it's basically a structure that we must to replace. As a result, the city and the Public Works Department, the utmost goal is to get this project under construction as soon as possible. But right now, we're targeting next year, we will have the construction contract going. The project goal is pretty simple. If I can put it in a simple way, it's we're designing the replacement bridge for the next 75 to 100 years. And as a result, we project what we will need in the next century during the bridge is serving the future generation. So now I would like to basically turn this presentation to our design consultant, Benish, and they will go through the details of some of the details of the design and the comparison between the 25% design and currently at the 75% design level.
My name is Ed Bauman. I work with Alfred Bennett Company. We're design consultants for the project, working with the city and Mass DOT together. I'll explain a little bit about the public outreach, how things have changed since 25%. As we mentioned earlier, the 25% public hearing minutes and presentation is online. There's two websites I'll show you at the end. And this is to describe the difference between the 25% and where we are now at 75%. We've heard a lot of concerns about the bridge during construction and final condition and the traffic, the bikes and the traffic and the noise during construction. So some of the things that we did change as a result of the public input was, adding a bus lane to the project coming to the southbound. That's where we could fit it. That's where it's needed most. So these were mostly concerns from the Charlestown side, minimizing construction period, traffic impacts, getting into the city, getting out. They were interested in digging into ferry service during construction or increasing it. Some of the things we can do as part of this project, but other things are long term that take more planning. We've been working with police and fire, EMS, school departments to find out, impacts on traffic to them as well. This is a list where, through the permitting process through the historic, the environmental, Coast Guard, the Fish and Wildlife reviews. So this is basically the major changes. At 25% we had a 50-foot roadway with 2 lanes southbound, 2 lanes northbound. After the public input, we have added a 3rd lane going southbound, and that's for buses exclusive. We have a designated bike lane on each side, protected, separated with a barrier. Some of the concerns during the earlier presentations were, the connections at the intersections. So we revised them slightly. Traffic control during construction. We hear lots of anxiety and concerns about living during construction. So our main intent is to warn people, get the word out. If you don't have to come here, don't come. find an alternate route. This is the one major change. This was the exclusive bus lane that's being added. This is a foundation. This is what we can build within the project. This was, this area was noticed as a hotspot for buses, lots of delays, and an area that could be improved. So within our project, we widened the bridge roadway slightly and narrowed the sidewalks a little bit from where we had them before. And that allowed us to add a bus lane starting 500 feet north of City Square and ending 500 feet north of Keeney Square. City planners can take this and build onto it, extending south and extending north. These slides, I was doing this to relay where the bus lane starts and why we started it there. This is the City Square tunnel coming off north of the bridge. And currently it's 4 lanes going south, and then you add 1 more or 2 more coming off the Tilton Bridge. So then we hit this point, 500 feet north of City Square, and we make this, forces people to make a decision at this point whether to go straight or whether to go to the right lane. It gets the cars in a line where they want to go. I know right now, the City Square, you have 4 lanes going down to 2, and it's a mess. I understand that. This at least will get people where they should go, and instead of the bottleneck being on the bridge, it sets it back further up north. This is City Square. The bus route has its own lane through the intersection. This shows, let's see if I point there. So this is Chelsea Street going to Charlestown. Let's see, southbound we have 2 through lanes and a left turn lane. And once you get across the intersection, you have the 2 through lanes and the bus lane that continues south. And this is also where our separated bike lane can start. And we revised this intersection slightly to improve safety for the turning lane here. There's a blind spot. This slows the turn down and protects the bikes. So north is to the right. This is continuing onto the bridge. Same bus lane, the 2 lanes coming south, and 2 lanes going north on the other side. We cross the main span of the bridge. The bus lane stops about 500 feet north of Keeney Square. That allows the people to get to the lane that they want to go in, to the right turn or to the left turn. And this is Keeney Square. It's basically the same configuration. We're tweaking the signals, but the connectors start crossing, just tweak them, so we're not making too much changes. What we're doing is we're adding this bike lane, and we're giving them a bike signal for the bikes. This is the way it worked. Originally, we had the bikes crossing the right turn lane, so that cyclists don't get hit by someone turning right. That was the way we used to do things a year ago. Now we're keeping the bikes to the right, which is comfortable and feel better next to the sidewalk. But we just have to introduce a bike signal as well as this blank out block. So this, I don't know if you can see it as a sample. It's a blank out block, so when the bikes have a green light, the right turn lane has no turn on red. It has a red light for the right turn lane and the turn lane. To avoid any conflicts between the right turns and the bike. Going northbound, we start the bike lane along the right curb. And I'll bring these slides back. So it just continues to the north. That bike lane goes to the north. And then we open up. One change we did was we extended the bike lane across the intersection, and that can be picked up eventually by the Department of Ed project. And we also gave the bike a separated protected turn to go to Charlestown. Again, this will have a signal for the bike so that there's no conflict with the right turn lane. This signal again, so we lose a lane southbound coming into the city, but the benefit is that forces the merge north of this intersection, so this intersection should be controlled more without merging out of the intersection, blocking the intersection. This is just an aerial view of the current condition of City Square. This is one of the right turn that we're moving it so that, this, I guess cars can go pretty fast around this corner, so this slows them down and avoids the blind spot there and provides an island protecting the cyclists. Our architect is here. I'll have him explain the vision behind the plantings and the trees and the structure itself. Much better job than I can. This is Keeney Square. Currently, a right turn lane southbound, 2 throughs and a left turn lane. We're maintaining this signal, can only be tweaked without a major redo of the intersection. But we're basically taking what Connect to Start Boston is putting out there now, and we're adding this light north and south.
Question,
Yes.
this looks different from the previous drawing you showed at Keeney Square. There are light boxes there, but they're in different places. Could you explain that?
Okay, is that from that I showed tonight or from the previous?
No, you showed it tonight. It wasn't clear to me whether, yeah.
This one here, okay.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. So
More
this one,
green patches there.
so 1, 2, 3, 4 light boxes.
See, it's moved.
Yes, it is. So this one's out of date. I apologize. This one's up to date. This is the current one. I think it was probably updated based on the Crossroads, or sorry, the Connect to Start Boston, where they have, it looks like a bike box before the sidewalk and after the sidewalk. I believe that's the only difference. So the bikes can choose which lane to go into. And this is a 2-stage turn as well. So cyclists who want to take a left have to cross this road and wait in that box. And same thing for this. Cyclists that want to go. This area is, so this area is tricky, even with the Connect to Start Boston project. I think what they did was they provided the cyclists 2 different ways to get through this intersection. The commuter cyclists or serious cyclists can go right through the intersection, and the family-oriented ones can go along the river walk, the harbor walk. That's the 2 options that cyclists have, and I think that Connect to Start Boston is signing the project that way. Yeah, they'll have signs that says, Constitution, take a right. The North Station, take a right as well.
Is there going to be any improvement of the carpool walk under there?
Yes. We're going to replace it, we're going to raise it up 2.5 feet too, so it doesn't flood us off with a super tank tide.
That's for global warming, right?
It is, and Miguel can explain this too, but the existing bridge is really deep, the beams are deep, and that's why they had to make them walk out as far as they did and as low as they did to get the vertical clearance while trying to stay above the high tide. So our new bridge is going to be nice and sleek and narrow, and we'll be able to raise that walkway up and still have the clearance. This is the existing bridge on the approach spans, 8-foot sidewalks and 80-foot roadway. This is the existing bridge when you get to the turntable that used to swing. There's 3 areas of traffic. Used to be 2 lanes northbound, 2 lanes southbound, 1 lane in each direction. In the middle, that was closed in 2003 due to deterioration. It's still closed since then. This is the currently proposed 75% design. So the roadway width is 57.5 feet wide. We'll have barriers separating the vehicles from the cyclists. And then we'll have a 7-foot bike lane and 10.5-foot sidewalk.
Which is each lane for each car.
So the lanes do vary. To make this work, we had to go, I think the opposing lanes are probably 11 foot. and the other ones are 10.5 feet. So it's kind of a road diet. You can see we have drainage concerns, you know. So these trapezoidal boxes are the steel structure that's holding up the bridge. And we don't want to put a pipe through that for drainage, so the scuppers have to be outside of those. And so there are challenges in making everything work, you know. So there's currently, because they're not 12-foot lanes and they're not, you know, 8 or 10-foot shoulders, it has a design waiver that's under review. I think we got, I can't see, is it 2-foot shoulder? 2-foot shoulder that keeps the cars off the scuppers and the bus lane. This is as you cross the main crossing of the harbor. The sidewalks widen out to 19 feet, and there'll be trees and plants and benches and plaques explaining the site that you see from that kind of destination area. But this is, yeah, during construction, MassDOT has been, you know, increasingly, I get emails every day about what's going on Fall River, Braga Bridge, you know, and what's Longfellow Bridge, you know. They're so good. They're getting better at getting the word out, you know. North Washington Street Bridge under construction, so you know, it'll be like, you know, lanes shifting today. There'll be websites, you know, to get the word out what's going on, email updates. There'll be public information meetings throughout construction. And that was part of the thought, was to get the word out. 128 have all these variable message signs that say, you know, North Washington Street Bridge under construction, seek alternate route. And then as they get closer, so this shows how many, you know, variable message signs we'd like to put out there. And as they get closer, we'll provide alternate routes, you know, especially if it has this cargo wide loads, you know, then people who don't need to come here to find an alternate route. This one, I believe, is for the northbound hazardous cargo. This is for the southbound alternate route. Which, you know, again, it's going over the lever connector. This one is for the hazardous cargo. This construction sequencing, this is how we're going to survive, how we're going to handle
Sorry, I
traffic.
have a last question.
Yep.
The last one. Do you plan on contacting any GPS services to have them reroute their GPS away from that area? Like Google Maps or Garmin or anything like that?
I just wrote that down.
Like hardware, it's all about DOT
Doesn't
projects.
do much if everybody's going to follow the GPS.
Okay, Mike, can we legally do that?
We've
can?
done that, actually, we did that on Fast 14, as a matter
Okay.
of fact, on 93. So we've learned the lesson the hard way on the DOT side, so yeah, we are doing that now.
So this is the construction staging. This hasn't changed. So this presentation is on the website. If you've seen it at the public hearing, it's the same. So this is existing conditions, 2 lanes in, 2 lanes out. This shows our first stage. There's a lot of utilities on this bridge. So before we impact traffic too much, we're gonna do as much work up front as we can to get all the utilities onto that west sidewalk. So this shows the first stage is to close this west sidewalk, demolish the sidewalk, create a temporary utility bridge that will support utilities and then act as a sidewalk again. Let's see, this shows the temporary utility bridge, holding the utilities and acting as a sidewalk as well. This is the top one is the approach span, this is the main swing span. This one, this is the tough stage. We anticipate 3 weeks. We can work with the contractor and work with public, I'm assuming 3 weeks in August, where we can live with 1 lane northbound and 1 lane southbound. The reason we have to do this is because of the existing swing span. you know, this center bay is inaccessible. I mean, it's deteriorated beyond repair. This bay is where we can strengthen this and keep this for this short duration. This is where the utilities are. And some of the utilities, we cannot move their transmission lines, and they have to stay on all the time. This bay here, the purpose of this is to, this 2 weeks, is to demolish the center bay of the truss and the east bay of the truss. And that allows us to put in a temporary bridge that you see that maybe echo the Bailey or World War II temporary bridges that they use. And this allows us to go back from 2 lanes in and 1 lane out, as well as a sidewalk. And this allows for our first major construction. We can demolish the west half of the bridge and construct our new.
So at this point, you have 2 sidewalks, one for the one for utilities on one side and temporary one on the other?
Yeah, so we, as much as we can, there are times where we will have to close this sidewalk, but we'll have at least one sidewalk all the time. So we will have to cross, during this stage, we have to cross the Freedom Trail and all the pedestrians to this side. This side, whenever we can, we'll keep that open, because the park's there, the Commerce headquarters is there, the access to the wharf is there. Let's see, then we build the west half of the bridge. We can't build this sidewalk yet because we have our utilities there. We get to demolish the east half of the bridge, the whole length, and construct the new bridge, the whole length. So this is another major construction. So we have 2 lanes coming in and 1 lane going out. And 1 sidewalk over. This is when we have to cross everyone to the west. Sorry, Mike.
You're good.
This, then there's 2 cleanup stages. So this is, we can open it up to 2 lanes each way. It's not finally done because we have to build our west sidewalk. But the east sidewalk's open, the east bike lane is open, 2 lanes northbound, 2 lanes southbound, and we have to sneak in the rest of our bridge around the utilities. And there's the final condition. For construction duration, so we're shooting for advertisement for construction late this spring to 2017. We want the contractor on board the fall of 2017. And we're looking at, 3 to 4 years, depending on the work time. It is a trade-off. If we have the contractor work 8 hours a day and only work, days and sometimes off peak, then that's the 4 years. But we can, we appreciate flexibility. If they can work 2 shifts, they obviously cut that time duration down. So this is where your input from you who actually live here and are going to survive this time. It's good for us to know. This is changes in the water. This is that new walkway. For 2 reasons, we can replace the walkway. We'll raise it up to stay above the high tides, and we can make it nicer at the same time. And then our benefit is it allows our contractor better access into that southern area. We're opening up the navigation spans instead of having that big 85-foot diameter turntable. There'll be a single navigation span, and crossing is marked by architectural features. And I'll let Miguel explain, our architect, Miguel Rosales, explain the vision for this project, how we got to where we are, and then we can answer questions.
Excuse me, I have a question
Yep.
and a comment if you don't.
Okay.
Kiwi Square I'm not clear on. We are still keeping the left turn to go onto Atlantic Ave?
Keene Square, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I hope for the future both ends are going to be a traffic nightmare, and I hope you are now contacting Boston Police to get permanent details there for protection
After construction.
during construction.
During construction, right, we have allotted, we've heard public outreach concerns about the police, concerns about people blocking, at North Station, blocking the Causeway Street.
The problem is if it's a detail, they have to sign up for it. I think a project this size, it should be mandatory that it's part of their job. Somebody should be there on both ends.
We've talked about this, but.
So this lady is bringing something that is absolutely spot on. It's an ongoing concern for all of us to make sure that the wonderful people from the police department are as engaged as possible. We have started a series of conversations with the Boston Police, soon with the state police, because there's the water sheet that needs to be managed, the roadway, and we are hopeful that they understand the criticality to their ongoing committed participation so that it can be as smooth as possible. So we have started those conversations. Thankfully, one of the very senior staff members from the police, I believe he may have family in the area, so he keeps joking, saying that if he doesn't do a good job, he might hear it both during daytime and in the evening. So we are hoping that they will take it as seriously as you folks have been bringing to our attention. Plus, even we realized the need to manage this before it manages us.
So this bridge is very important, as you imagine. It's the last bridge that you see coming from the Charles River into the harbor. And one of the important considerations here was trying to make a bridge that would relate visually to the Saking Bridge. And we tried to work with the geometries of both of them. So we took the tower and we inversed the tower, make it like reverse, and try always to use a triangular system and very clean lines like the Saking Bridge, because we wanted to work on them together. The bridge is a constant depth, and it's much thinner than what you have right now. Right now the bridge is much deeper, probably like 10 feet, and you have huge granite piers, so you cannot see through. You cannot see the water, it's a complete barrier. So it's going to be completely open because you want to reduce the number of piers, and it's going to be much more open to see the waterfront. The city wanted to make a bridge that would be a role model for other bridges, not only here in Massachusetts, but throughout the United States actually, where you will have more of a very multimodal approach. So it's serving not only cars, but also serving buses, pedestrians, and bicyclists. Because that's really the future of transportation. You cannot keep relying on cars more and more and more. You need to distribute the circulation to different modes. So that's why we have a bike lane that is actually would be the widest bike lane on a bridge in Massachusetts, and you have 7 feet. And that would allow you to pass each other. So if you're a commuter and you want to go faster, you're able to do that. Then the sidewalks are quite wide, and we have the bus lane, which makes it truly multimodal. We also wanted to make it very walkable, so at the center of the span, you have very wide sidewalks, about 20 feet wide. And you'll be able to sit and look out. This is the nicest place to be when you cross the bridge, because you're at the highest point, and you have a very nice panorama of the whole harbor, which right now people are so distracted with the cars and the openings on the deck, and you actually don't see the water. So that's going to change and makes it much better for that purpose. We feel that this bridge should talk about the future and the past also. From the bridge, you can see all of these important landmarks. The Bunker Hill Monument, the U.S. Constitution, the Old North Church, the Saking Beach, the Boston Garden, and the Boston House Tower. And this would be nice that when you are on the bridge and you are looking at the landmark, you can read about it and learn about the history. So we will have historic plaques at the center of the span that will explain and have photographs of all of these structures. Kind of making it like an outdoor museum, because this bridge is one that has the most tourists because of the Freedom Trail. So you have a lot of tourists crossing it, on a daily basis. Basically, so that will be some information that the project will provide for that. That's another view, from a distance. The whole underside right now, the bridge is cluttered with a lot of utilities. It's not very nice to look underneath. If you look now. Right now, what we're planning to do is like all the utilities will be enclosed. So you'll have a screening system in the bottom of the structure, and will allow maintenance people to walk, from one side to the other, and not have to rely on a barge all the time, which is a major benefit for the maintenance. But also from aesthetics, you will have a clean underside, so no pigeons, no opening with all the pipes. That will really help. That's another view from a distance. We thought it was important to relate to the cable system, so that way you see these angles matching. And the Second Bridge very quickly became an icon, of Boston. I mean, it's in many of the postcards, and I was lucky to work on the Second Bridge, and I'm lucky to work on this bridge too. And we try to make it compatible, especially when you are far away, when you see both of them together. This view here, you have, of course, an enhanced freedom trail. There will be some textures on the sidewalk. Very nice railings, will be only pedestrian railings. They will not be heavy, will be very transparent. And we also have a railing for the bikes here. Between this area of bikes and sidewalk and pedestrians, we'll have a planted median that will separate the cars from the people that are crossing the bridge. That will make a huge difference in the perception of crossing the bridge, because you'll have something green to look at. And we're going to make very hard sure that the plants live. So the city is working with a lot of people trying to get some maintenance support. So when the plants go in, every year there are places they die, but we will use hardy plants. But it will be quite unique. There's very few bridges in the US that have plants. You are lucky actually to get this one. So it's quite a unique feature. Once you are here, we created this structure, which creates like a sense of place here. We wanted to do something similar to what you have here in the North End, which you have a pergola, but on the bridge. So you can sit and look out and relax. I mean, people, when they are crossing and they are elderly, the bridge is very long. It would be nice to have a place where you can stop, and then before you continue. And this structure will be illuminated at night, and we'll be able to change the colors, and we have coordinated the lighting system between this bridge and the Second Bridge. So if the Second Bridge has a color, we'll have the same color. So they will match. This is when you're crossing the structure. This is the bus lane. Again, very few bridges have a dedicated bus lane in the US. I think that's special for this bridge. I'm going to allow the bus to speed up and not stay stuck with the traffic. You're coming in the direction. At night, as I was mentioning, we'll coordinate the lighting. All of these lanes will be illuminated. The railing will be illuminated also, so you will feel very safe. Right now, there is basically no pedestrian lighting in the bridge. This is going to be completely different. There will be both railing lighting and lighting also from the overhead. So both lines will be part of the system. This is the curved walkway. Right now, the walkway is very low and it has a weird angle. Now it's going to be more smooth and cleaner. And we'll have also lighting in the railing, which is LED lighting that doesn't have a lot of maintenance. They put some lighting in the existing bridge, but of course they are broken, because it was a different system. That has come a long way, and we think that we have a much better illumination. This is what I mentioned on the side of the structure. It will be clean. This will be a screen system that will be applied and will hide all of the different utilities, and people will be able to walk underneath. This will have some also lighting inside, for maintenance lighting, and you can see here the V-shaped piers. These piers are a little bit difficult to construct. It's not just a straight pier. It has to have a tie. That is this element here, but it's very much the same system as the tower of the Second Bridge. The tower of the Second Bridge is almost the same but inverse, and it also has a tie in the middle. So I thought it would be interesting to relate back to such an iconic structure into the new structure. So you have a similar, structural system. And there's another view of the bridge. I know it's going to take time to finish it, and you're probably going to have a lot of issues, traffic and other issues. But I think at the end you're going to be a very nice bridge, and you're going to be proud of it, and it should last for a long 7,500 years. So, we hope you're patient, but you have a good result at the end. Thank you very much.
So with that, that concludes our presentation. Now, we'd like to open to a question and answer session. If you have any questions, please feel free. Yes.
There was a previous proposal for a Charles River Dam crossing for a pedestrian walkway, and they had already done all the research, and it's in here if you want to read it, but it's online as well. I just don't understand why you have to combine pedestrians and bikes with traffic when you could, you're talking about keeping this bridge for decades and decades, and you're saying that the traffic was 5 lanes in the 1800s, or late 1800s.
6 lanes.
6 lanes, okay, so it was 6 lanes in the 1800s. And now you're telling us that that traffic is going to be less than that because you're just going to tell people to bike? I mean, I'm sorry, but when it's negative 25 degrees, wind chill out there, no one's going to be grabbing up their bikes. I'm sorry, it's just not. So I don't understand why you didn't just separate the two. I mean, you just displayed that you have a perfect walkway underneath the bridge. You come in front of Converse, and where the locks are, you could put a footbridge right over that. And then you could expand your bridge to 6 lanes each way, or how many ever lanes that you wanted to. But there's already a path into the park, and there's a bunch of picturesque spots at TD Garden that you can take right in front of Converse. And I thought we're supposed to be helping business here, but it seems like you want to write them out of the whole walkway when you have a chance to bring everybody into it, especially with all the traffic that's coming in from TD Garden. You could have all that rerouted down that side street and take a footbridge over, and then you could expand this bridge to accommodate the amount of traffic that's necessary to. Because, the easement on the right-hand turn lane could be pushed over closer to the tennis courts, and that could be 3 lanes coming into the bridge, and you could have 3 lanes on the other side of the bridge. And if you want to put bus lanes, that's great, but I just don't understand why everybody wants to jam the two together. It just seems like a real public safety issue for me, that you're trying to put bikes and people and cars crossing each other all the time. I don't get it. I just see it as a more, heartache and deaths. And then on the other part, what about Charlestown? Are they going to be serviced correctly for the fire trucks and police response when you're down to 1 lane each way? I mean, if you expanded it to 6 lanes, you wouldn't have that problem because you wouldn't have to worry about the sidewalks. You wouldn't have to worry about the bikers. So that's my take. I just don't understand why everybody wants to jam the two together all the time.
Well, thank you very much for your input. Actually, this is a very lengthy process. We have listened to all of the public inputs, and also we are designing the structure or the bridge for the future, 7,500 years. And one thing we are unable to do, in a sense, is we simply have difficulty just to keep adding lanes because of the increased traffic. Right now,
But you can't tell people not to drive. That's the thing. I mean, you can't just.
No, if you understand, I'll let.
I'm sorry, sir, your name?
Well, Sean, but you're talking about forcing people not to drive. That's great. If we had an MBTA that actually worked, that would be okay. If our subway system was in perfect condition, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But it's not. It's in huge disrepair, and that's going to be a traffic jam itself. And then people are going to revert to their cars, no matter how you like it or not. In the middle of the winter, they'll have no choice but to. And there are places that buses and trains and subways can't take that.
May I?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sean. So, as you and others that are here who may have participated with this project for the last 5 to 6 years, this project has had more public input. I should say more, that sounds pompous. It has had a variety of forums through multiple interest agencies, including bicycle people, car advocates, walking advocates, planning advocates. So this has gone through such community engagement process I am absolutely confident in saying that what is being shown today may not be ideal for a mode of transportation, but when we look at how transportation planning needs to be for the Commonwealth, and people much smarter than any singular person here have collectively made a decision that the lane diet that is being proposed here is what the city and the Commonwealth should evolve to. So I appreciate your comments, Sean, in the passionate way which you're sharing with us, but I would respectfully let you know that that comment has been vetted out amongst a variety of other thought patterns, and what is being shown here is the consensus through a lengthy, almost 6 years. There were so many, that is within the city, series of advocacy groups, mass DOT transportation planning. We try to reach out to the smartest people that are there to give us guidance on a project that has the generational consequences.
And I understand that, but you're talking to government people who don't live here. And I don't care how much research you put into it, we see it every day. We live it every day. And we see that people go, I mean, how many of you drive cars in every day from outside the city to come in? I mean, that's a lot. I'm just saying, it's a lot of traffic. Eventually, what's going to happen is there's going to be so much traffic that that one day a fire truck will not be able to make it over the bridge one day, and no one's going to care about your bus lane in the middle of traffic, because guess what? No cop's going to arrest them, because they're going to pull into that bus lane and they're going to take that whole area up. And you're right, you're going to get the bus over the bridge, but it's still going to be stuck in the same traffic. I don't think a lot of people really care. I mean, I don't think pedestrians really care about crossing in front of traffic, and I don't think that people really care if they take up a bus lane, because guess what? It's an empty lane. And honestly, you know, when people are in a rush, they don't care about the little, but your words stay on the ground. So
Sean, I appreciate your very thoughtful comments. Thank you.
And I understand, you're saying you've had 8 years, or 6 years, or 8 years to think of this, but you've only had one public meeting here.
Oh no, Sean.
I've only seen one online that
All due respect, this may be the first meeting which you are coming here,
Okay.
and I'm very happy to meet you.
Cool.
But this may be the third or the fourth time we have come to this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
I only saw one online, so
Sean, again, I appreciate your passion and concern, but wish you were part of a larger dialogue, so you could have heard through your own ears rather than me saying. So thank you so much for your presence.
Yes, I'm John Allen. I'm a bicyclist, and on the board of the Charles River Wheelman Bicycle Club. I've been involved in bicycling advocacy for decades. I have a number of comments here. I'll just run down through them. The first thing may actually bear on Sean's comments, which is that at the December 16th, 2015 meeting, it was mentioned that the bikeway could be reconfigured into additional travel lanes. Now, more recently, Michael O'Dowd of...
Oh, that's me.
Okay, you.
Yes, John, and I owe you a
Because
response. You sent me an email a couple of weeks ago, and I do owe you a response.
Yeah, so I'd like to sort that issue out, because structurally the bridge is capable of carrying heavy traffic out into the area that is now the bikeway. But, and certainly I'd like to see bicyclists get across the bridge. I have some issues with the design as it stands. One is that 7-foot wide bikeway between a curb on one side and a fence without a handlebar rub strip, which does not conform to national guidelines, AASHTO guidelines, American Association of State Highway and Transportation Engineers, for those of you who don't know all the lingo, is not wide enough for one bicyclist safely to overtake another. And the question is how you address that. One way is by raising it to sidewalk level, but then you get intrusion of bicyclists into the sidewalk. As traffic evolves, we're going to see more electric bikes. They're starting to appear, more mopeds. And you have electric bikes going up to 20, 25, 28 miles an hour in this bikeway alongside family cyclists going 8 miles an hour. You got a problem. I would like to see bike lanes on the bridge in addition to these separated bikeways or part of the sidewalk that would accommodate the family cyclists, just because I see these different categories evolving. Related to that, the decorative structures on this bridge, they make an artistic statement, but I really gotta ask, they have no structural function that I can see. They don't cover anything and provide a roof so that tourists can stand and look out over the harbor in the rain and not get wet. To me, those are a luxury that might be avoided in order to spend a little more on some of the transportation issues. And it's already been mentioned here in connection with construction, but it's also an issue with the bridge after it's completed, that the intersections at the end are a problem, and they're particularly a problem for bicyclists with all the turning traffic. No matter whether you're on the separate bikeway or in a bike lane at the right, there are all sorts of crossing and turning movements, and it's not just not safe. This is how we've had serious and fatal crashes with trucks turning across the path of bicyclists. At the north end, I would really like to see a connection from the bridge to that underpass under the bridge that goes to Paul Revere Park, because that would just avoid all the issues you have with crossing all the lanes, with the delays due to the having to cross there and the traffic having to wait a traffic light, and the bicyclists could just go under there. I don't know how convenient that it would be, how practical it is to make that connection, but it sort of looks to me like, hey, maybe we should do it. At Keeney Square, there's a whole other range of issues. I won't go into them in detail. I will be sending written comments, and thank you.
Thank you very much for your input. We don't have any bicycle, bikeway designer among
how
today.
the 7 foot, the curb on one end of that is only 3 inches.
Well, it's, anything above half an inch can topple a bicycle right over.
Right.
So, you've got to ride 2 feet from a curb to be safe, 3 feet from a fence to be safe, and if your handlebars are 2 feet long, you kiss handlebars one bicyclist trying to pass another. So,
Right. We know the 8 and 10 was ideal. We were trying to share this bridge with everybody. That was the issue there.
And also with the wide sidewalks and the vegetation, and so, perhaps you could compromise some of that a little bit to make it safer for bicyclists.
So I think, sir, the best, I'm sorry, where are my manners? Your name, sir?
Oh, John Allen.
How are you, John? John, if you would permit us to stay with you a little bit later from this meeting, because some of the stuff that you bring, you're spot on, but I think we have factored those issues, and if you would permit us after this meeting to give you a higher sensitivity to some of these details.
Okay, well, I do have to catch an 8:45
Wait.
train.
Okay, John, no. John, we are here, we live in the city, all my full staff live in the city, we are here to serve you, we will catch up with you at your convenience.
Okay, I'll be happy to
So, please.
discuss matters with you.
And again, we have shown this bridge to many over the last 6 years plus or minus, and over the years there have been many who participated in refining this design. There are so many that are not here who helped us to get to this point. Some very smart people, and we will continue to seek guidance and advice from those who can make this bridge even better. That
Okay,
is our commitment to you.
I can tell you, I also commented on the December 2015 meeting. This isn't, I'm not just walking in
No.
here for the first time.
No, John, so we'll continue to keep that dialogue if that is to your liking, and it is something which we decide.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other?
Could I ask you to go back to the goals page at the beginning of the presentation? I don't think we covered that completely. Goals, there we go. Okay, I was concerned that there was a goal that was missing from up here. My name's Dave Goggins. I'm with the North End Waterfront Residents Association, and I've participated in several of the public meetings for the last, I guess, 3 years. And having been to those meetings, I know that one of the concerns that was continually raised was traffic mitigation. Right now, we're dealing with a bridge that has 4 lanes and is woefully inadequate to meet the current traffic needs of both sides of the bridge, Charlestown and the North End waterfront downtown area. Traffic's a nightmare on both ends. And I don't see anything on here that talks about traffic mitigation, how this new construction of this bridge is going to alleviate the current problems we have, much less the future problems we're going to have with all the development that continues to go around on both sides of the bridge. And the elephant in the room that no one seems to have addressed, at least in the meetings I've attended, is the bottleneck on the Charlestown side. You're going from 4 lanes of traffic to 2 lanes of traffic. And that's still going to be the case after the design of this bridge currently. You talk about it being multimodal, it's going to alleviate traffic concerns. How is a partial partial bus lane that doesn't connect to the Haymarket bus terminus solve any sort of commuting problems? The bus is going to, what the bus lane does as it's configured now is, as you said, it pushes the bottleneck further into Charlestown, and it creates a new bottleneck in the North End at the bottom of the bridge. That doesn't solve any problems. How can you call this a multimodal bridge when there's nothing that enhances public transportation?
So
You need another lane is the bottom line. You need a dedicated bus lane. I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but why don't you have a dedicated bus lane that goes down the middle of the bridge so that it works both ways in both rush hours? Here you're building a partial bus lane that's only going to be useful in the morning rush hour. If it goes down the middle, you can have it going out a dedicated bus lane in both directions during morning and evening. But to do that, you need 6 lanes. I don't know how you can justify building a bridge that originally had 6 lanes and taking it down to 5 lanes. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
So I'm sorry.
Dave Goggins, you call me Dave.
Hi, Dave. So you put forth a lot of thoughts, and I'll try and.
But it all ties back to traffic mitigation, right?
So
Everyone, you've heard this at the last several public meetings. The
Absolutely.
traffic is a nightmare. People can't get over the bridge to and from the bridge because there's only 4 lanes of traffic. Your design that you're proposing, aesthetically, it's great. It's lovely. It's a beautiful thing, but it only has 4 lanes of traffic.
So if I can help to take on,
Please.
and hopefully I'll say this correctly, at Keeney Square, when you are heading into the city
Yes.
or coming out just at Keeney Square,
Yes.
so that would be on the south side of Keeney Square. To the best of your recollection, how many lanes are going into the city?
There's 2 lanes of traffic. Right.
Just help me to work this thing through. So 2 lanes going.
Is there anyone here from Boston Transportation, by the way?
I'm sorry, not today. We continue to invite them.
My impression is that this bridge was built in isolation without any consultation with Boston, the city of Boston, in terms of how traffic is gonna work on this bridge, because to me, it doesn't
I
work.
would have to respectfully disagree with you because this has had so many fingers in it. At some points, we want to pull our hair out trying to balance the various things. So
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Getting back to your point, there's only 2 lanes of traffic going into Boston.
Right.
That's because there's parking on North Washington Street on that lane. Take out the cars, put in a 3rd lane, have a dedicated bus lane that goes straight into Haymarket, and that solves all your problems.
So 2 lanes, right now 2 travel lanes going into the city
Yes.
and 2 travel lanes coming
Right.
out of the city. So plus we couldn't blow up, sorry that's a poor choice of words, we could, unlike 50 years ago, we
Yes.
didn't want to do road widening. So there was a pinch point, a natural pinch point, and I do recognize the parking lanes on both sides. But people much smarter than us decided that lanes might be needed, that parking lane might be needed for either a bus lane or a bicycle lane. So since we can't take down the buildings on either side, there was a natural bottleneck of 4 lanes through the bridge. Plus, I think in one of our very first meetings over here, I remember saying this to you folks. No one is here that I know of, not just here in Boston, who can conclusively say how transportation might be 50 years from now. But today, all the transportation planners and the really smart people that are helping us to guide us, they are of the opinion that we need to change the modal shift, and that sounds like a complex word, but basically try and get people from cars to buses or bikes. Now, Sean here made an excellent point. Who might want to bike when it is minus 25? And so those thought patterns, guess what? There are people out there that are telling us very boldly, very passionately, do build those bike lanes. So we've been trying to balance some from this, some from that. So punchline, since we don't know what the future might be, the guts of the bridge, the stuff below, has been sized so that in years to come, if the thinking should change with very minimum change, investment, we can put 6 lanes or keep it as it is. Now we struggled within the last 6 to 8 months to squeeze this bus lane. Now you may ask, what's the wisdom in putting a bus lane just on the bridge when it doesn't connect either to Sullivan Square side or to Haymarket? Here's what was told to us. Our job is to focus on the bridge, structure it so that it can accommodate a bus lane as a starting point for a regional bus transit system. So it would be awkward for us not to build this bridge without that bus lane, so that planners, engineers, architects, land use planners, when they need to redo Rutherford Avenue, there's a whole design process that is going on there, and the folks that have to come to gripes with or deal with parking. Now this is, I'm heading into the city, parking is where, is it parking or the bus lane and bicycle? So there's always this balancing act. Hopefully
You still don't solve the bottleneck problem. The bottleneck problem doesn't go away, traffic's horrible, it's not getting any better. There's nothing here that mitigates the current traffic problem. Sorry, I don't see it. Bus lane to nowhere doesn't solve that.
Yeah.
Question, is there any possibility of a reversible lane? Is the traffic heavier in one direction in the morning and the other direction in the evening? Might that be?
The traffic it's heavier in the morning, southbound obviously. In the afternoon, the peak hour traffic's about the same, both directions. So we looked at that need for outbound traffic. That's why during construction, we have the 1 lane northbound and the 2 lanes inbound. We thought during construction it might be a movable barrier, but it's the same going in and out in the afternoon.
I promise you folks, this is not an exact science. If anyone gets up and says, I know the definite answer, that person is a means full of, or he or she is full of something. Okay,
I
but
may not have answers, because I haven't been part of this project for 6 or 8 years, but I can see problems where they exist, and I don't see this bridge addressing the biggest problems that we're facing right now.
so one of
It's
the
a public safety issue, as Sean pointed out. People can't get over the bridge. Anytime there's an event at the garden, don't even think about driving anywhere into downtown or Charlestown area. It's not safe. And it's a problem that needs to be fixed. And I don't see how this bridge is gonna fix that.
I mean, you're talking about the walkway at least underneath the bridge, so, I mean, you could expand that to accommodate at least those bikers, like you said, to get underneath the bridge. Why would you want to put them in front of all that traffic? Like, why would you want to drive your pedestrians that way? Why wouldn't you want to drive them underneath the bridge? Why would you want them to cross? Because then that ties up traffic. I'm sorry, everybody pushing that button all the time. So if you can take one of those out, then why wouldn't you?
It's so, I mean, I've timed it, trying to drive through Keeney Square. It's already one of the longest waits at a traffic signal in the entire city. I don't know what the magic number is. And the longer you have to wait at that intersection, whether it's for bicycles, pedestrians, cars, the more traffic backs up into the north end, down Commercial Street. And the fact that we've already taken one of the lanes off of Commercial Street for a dedicated cycle track has only been, the traffic is not, it's just been getting worse.
it makes it more interesting. Is the politest way I can say.
Okay. You obviously don't live in the north end, because if you wouldn't be using the word interesting.
Well, since I hope you would recognize that I cannot be judgmental about how things are. that would
I'm
be-
just presenting problems to you and saying this is a golden opportunity to address those problems. And it looks like it's being looked at in isolation without addressing the elephant in the room.
So actually, I'm not a transportation planner, a structural engineer by training. If you look at it elsewhere, like the southern states, if you have the need, you add one lane. You have need for more, you add more. There are plenty of space and real estate that you can keep on adding. And that's fantastic, but Boston is very difficult. If we were to be able to rebuild the city, we then can improve everything at the same time. But we cannot, so we are confined within a limit where we just want to serve as a piece of a puzzle. If we solve what we have, like Parrot mentioned, before you know it, you will have a meaningful, exclusive bus lane. But we have to start from somewhere. So that's what we are trying to accomplish.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Walter Hope. I live literally next to the bridge on the Charlestown side. A couple of points. The bus lane that is in Chinatown right now is an everything lane. There's nobody stopping anybody from driving through it. It's for the Silver Line. It's supposed to be, obviously, just for the Silver Line buses, but it's not. The couple of you have mentioned, is this being planned, I'm going to use the word holistically. There's a north end traffic study going on right now. You cross the bridge, so the bridge is going to be construction going on. Rutherford Avenue, the plan there is to take that from 4 to 6 lanes down to 2 in each direction, which actually, oddly enough, solves the problem of the bottleneck, because there won't be a bottleneck because it'll only be 2 lanes. But except for the fact that Rutherford Avenue is used and has tremendous amounts of traffic on it. And on the opposite end of Rutherford is, of course, Sullivan Square, and they're planning to do that. So if you do all 4 of those projects at the same time, and then add on the back end of Charlestown, the One Charlestown, or I think it's One Charlestown, the 3,100 housing development, 3,100 unit housing development. But all of that, all going at the same time, and I can't get out of Charlestown, you can't get into Charlestown if you live over here. Vendors can't, people who go to the restaurants on either end of the bridge can't get there because there are going to be massive traffic jams. I was trying to go from Constitution Marina, which is where I live, into Fenway Park this summer, but there was a Bieber concert, Justin Bieber concert going on. It took me an hour to get across the bridge, and I don't have lights, and emergency lights, and that was just jam packed. There was no movement going on because of an obnoxious kid. So, not to mention, Sean, you mentioned the emergency vehicles. Living next to the bridge, I've seen 10, 15 police cars going from Boston side into Charlestown, streaming at high speed late at night. They can't do that if they're stuck in traffic. I've seen fire trucks doing the same thing, and both directions actually for emergency vehicles. And if it's one lane, I realize it's just for a short period, one lane each direction, but if that's the case and there's traffic, if there's a game going on, if the Sox are in town, if there's a concert, if it's graduation season, festivals in the North End, if any combination of all that's happening, it's going to be somebody will die.
So,
Or somebody's house will burn down.
so it is always awkward for us to manage statements of this nature when any person in the audience says, gee, if you don't do that, someone is going to die. That's, that's like, okay?
True.
So I
Sorry.
don't think it serves any purpose.
Mhm.
But recognizing that public safety is paramount to both you and us. And who are us? So the city staff, we work very closely with EMS, fire, police. This is something which we take very seriously to manage traffic. Today, because I need things to slow down on that bridge before we take some premature bye-bye. Okay? During construction, we are extremely mindful of the games and the nighttime activities to ensure that all steps that can be taken are taken to try and minimize the impacts. But please don't misunderstand me as if I'm saying everything is going to be so rosy. That's not.
Well, I hear your comments, and I think you're doing best with what you can on this particular piece of the puzzle, which is the term I heard earlier tonight. But what about the other pieces, which is the North End traffic work, the bridge, Rutherford,
So
Sullivan?
that is where
We put it all together.
Got it, sir. So
Right.
that is where the city's transportation department that works very closely with us and a variety of city departments to take a step backwards and see, are we all heading in the right direction? Because the worst thing we can do is get into our little silos and not be mindful. But under the Mayor Walsh administration, there's a renewed emphasis to work very closely with each other so that these planning efforts, there's rhyme and reason.
Could there be a meeting showing that to us? Showing how all of these 4 projects or 5 projects or
I
more
would be-
are all together?
I would be very happy, sir, not on your behalf, but on everyone's behalf, to convey your sentiment to the transportation department that is leading. It's just not just the transportation department, variety of city departments. And I will convey to them the need for such a forum so that everyone, people in Charlestown, people in North End, West End, everyone. And if you are coming to the open house in Charlestown, there's a City Hall open house that's coming up within the next month or so,
November 16th.
November 16th. Do come to that because there'll be more people from City Hall at that meeting where you can pepper them with all your thoughts. And it is our desire to show that united thinking. Okay, so
Okay.
please spread the word the best you can and join us that evening.
Also, with regard to that, Walter, is on October the 26th, over at the KFC in Charlestown, BTD will be presenting information on the Rutherford Bed Ave project.
October
So
26th?
that's October the 26th, yeah. So Jim and his staff will be over there to give you information on that status. what the
Do
status
you know a
is.
gentleman named, I hate giving names of other department staff that are not here, but after this meeting, I can speak to you and give you the name of the person that is spearheading or responsible for all that coordination. Because this stuff is serious. I mean, we do recognize the unique nature of Charlestown and its limited access. We do recognize that 1,100 housing project is now going up to 3,300 units. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out what that translates to. We do recognize on a daily basis the traffic congestion that is there. Both Ben and I have spent more time on that bridge in your neighborhood, in the North End, I may not always look like this. You might most times see me with a hard hat and my safety vest, but I am not going to be pompous and say we are absolutely sensitive like you would live there. But over 20 years, I think I have spent enough time in both neighborhoods to understand what this all means. While we simultaneously need to worry about a bridge that is extremely tired. And when I say extremely tired, I cannot overemphasize how much that is. And if we don't attend to that, none of this matters. Okay?
Yep,
So, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I
Go
would
ahead.
just to add to what Sean said and what you said about coordination. Speaking as a bicyclist, there are several possible ways to cross the river. You mentioned, Sean, you mentioned the Charles River Dam. That's, you can thread your way through that on a bicycle or with a bicycle, right, or on foot. But sometimes the locks are open, and it's sort of a maze getting through there. I hope that in the spirit of coordination, other options might be looked at. To me, the railroad bridge, which is much less often open, is an opportunity to have some sort of bicycle and pedestrian path along one side of it. In fact, I think I recall there is one part of the way across already.
That's
So that-
already been planned. right?
it is being
Yeah.
planned. Well,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Yes. They're also putting a pedestrian bridge over the railroad track.
Yes, that's
It's
good.
not
There's
bad.
already one on the north side, and it's a big hit.
One on the
But
south
one on the
side.
south side is needed and is going to happen. What I'm saying is just in terms of overall circulation and in particular, circulation in and out of North Station on foot and by bicycle, which could be better than it is. Those projects are significant, they're important, and they would take some of the burden off this bridge.
Is there anything planned for on the dam? Sorry,
Yes.
just on the dam itself, are there any improvements listed for that anytime soon? Because there's nothing, like the gates don't go up when they're all broken off or whatever. But there's no gates that go up when you cross the dam and when the when the locks open. I mean, there's like a little bit of a safety issue there. I don't know who here would
So
be at least to send
that-
that across, but
So that series of assets, Sean, belongs to the sister state agency for the mass duty for the Department of Conservation and Recreation.
Yeah.
We will do our best to communicate your concerns to those folks when we meet with them very regularly to share your concerns with us, and appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
yeah, and just on that one, it is one lane each way. Do you guys plan on 24-hour, at least having a 24-hour police
So-
stationed on each end?
Here are the concerns, because when we met with
Yeah.
fire, EMS, the whole, they are extremely concerned about positioning multiple units in the Charlestown site, so that if one has to be gone, you're not waiting for them to come back to take the next unit.
Right.
Okay, so-
Well, that's what I was just, I was just like,
Oh,
if
sure.
you had a cop on each side, you could be like, hold
We
up
are of the
traffic.
opinion, Sean, that one may not be enough, because we go through, when I say the amount of units, for example, EMS units, like an ambulance,
Right.
we may need multiple units on the Charlestown side,
Okay.
because we focus on them.
Because you'll preface for anything.
No, Sean, because sometimes when you don't work the numbers, you might, one, two might be enough. But when one leaves, and if you need to sort of figure out how long is it going to take for them to drop them off to either Brighams or MGH, fight that traffic back,
Mhm.
and how long is that going to take? And that has to be still shorter than the average incident time. And there are many incidents. So we are working very closely with what we call the umbrella team of emergency services, is fire, police, EMS, to
Right.
take this very seriously. It doesn't matter whether any of us live in Charlestown or not, because for me, I have to take, we all, the sponsors, all of us, every part of our city is important. But we do recognize some of the geographical constraints that are unique to that wonderful neighborhood. But appreciate your thoughts, Sean, and we'll continue to, share as much information as we can to let all parties understand their needs. It is coming on to 7:59. I'm not sure when we get thrown out from this place.
We have another half hour.
Oh, we do.
One.
And so,
Well,
no,
actually, you
but,
have another hour, to be
So-
honest.
Yeah.
but we are here to serve you. Some of us has been at this for a longer time, and sometimes the more conversation we have, the brighter the conversation we can share with you. But that being said, you may be just tired of hearing my voice, so in either case.
Well, any other concerns or suggestions?
Hearing none, truly thank all of you for joining us this, yes,
Yeah, I'm
sir.
sorry, what is the hoped for shovel on the ground time?
2017, hopefully summer or soon thereafter.
And they're the better. The estimated completion date?
About 3 years plus or minus, hopefully. Again, starting 17, be done in 20, would be what take, And again, a key component, folks, a key component is how much constraints are we putting on the contractor. So there's again two extremes. If we want to minimize inconvenience, this might take 10 years. Or pulling like a band-aid. Okay. But then, so it's again a balancing act. Any more questions? Hearing none, again, our thanks